Maybe you feel it sometimes. That little moment where you walk into a room and forget why you went there. Or maybe you have trouble recalling a name that's right on the tip of your tongue. It's easy to just brush it off, saying, "Oh, that's just part of getting older." And in a way, you're right. Some changes are natural. But what if I told you that some of the foods we enjoy almost every day, the ones that bring us comfort or are just convenient, might be quietly speeding up that process? It's a tough thought. Isn't it that something so seemingly innocent, something you might even think of as a little treat, could actually be making your brain work harder than it needs to? Or worse, damaging it over time. It's a painful reality to consider, that our own choices at the dinner table or the snack cupboard could be impacting our sharpness, our memory, our ability to think clearly as we move through our 60s and beyond. But there's a secret here, and it's not about deprivation. It's about awareness. Understanding which delicious culprits are causing trouble means you can make small, powerful changes. In this video, we're going to look at 6 common foods that might be quietly harming your brain right now, without you even realizing it. Understanding them is the first step to protecting your most vital organ. And trust me, you'll want to watch to the very end for something that might truly surprise you and give you hope. Let's dive right in and talk about the first one, something many of us probably grew up with or still reach for when we need a quick pick-me-up. We're talking about sugary drinks and foods loaded with added sugars. Think about that can of soda, that sweet tea, those pastries, or even seemingly healthy yogurts packed with extra sweetness. Now, a little sugar is fine. Our bodies use glucose for energy, including our brains. The problem comes with excessive added sugars, especially the kind that flood your system quickly. As we get older, our bodies often don't handle these big sugar spikes as well. When you consume a lot of sugar, particularly in liquid form or simple carbs that are quickly broken down into sugar, it causes your blood sugar levels to shoot up. This triggers a rush of insulin to bring it back down. Over time, these constant spikes and crashes can contribute to insulin resistance, not just in your body, but also in your brain. Your brain cells need glucose for energy, but they need it delivered smoothly, not in a chaotic flood. When your brain becomes resistant to insulin, it struggles to use glucose efficiently, which can impact learning, memory, and even contribute to the development of cognitive decline. Think of it like trying to fuel your car with a fire hose instead of a steady stream. It just causes chaos. But it's not just about the energy chaos. Excessive sugar intake also fuels inflammation in the body. And inflammation is a major enemy of brain health. Chronic, low-grade inflammation can damage brain cells and connections over time. It's like a constant, low-level irritation in your brain that disrupts its normal function. You might not feel it directly like a headache, but it can manifest as fogginess, slower thinking, or difficulty concentrating. And the tricky part is, sugar is hidden in so many things. Salad dressings, sauces, packaged snacks, cereals, even some breads. It's not just the obvious sweets. So, what can you do? It's not about cutting out all sugar forever. That's not realistic or necessary. It's about becoming more aware of added sugars. Reading labels is key. Look for sugar, corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, dextrose, sucrose, and other ADOs words high up in the ingredient list. Try swapping sugary drinks for water, unsweetened tea, or sparkling water with a squeeze of lemon. If you love something sweet, reach for natural sources like a piece of fruit, which comes with fiber that helps slow down sugar absorption. When baking, try reducing the sugar called for in recipes or using natural sweeteners like a little bit of maple syrup or honey in moderation. Small steps, like cutting back on one sugary drink a day or choosing plain yogurt and adding your own fruit, can make a real difference in avoiding those harmful sugar spikes and protecting your brain from that internal fire. Now, let's move on to another category that often goes hand in hand with sugary foods, and that's refined carbohydrates, We're talking about things made with white flour, white bread, white pasta, white rice, many breakfast cereals, crackers, and baked goods, similar to sugar. The problem here isn't the carb itself, but how refined it is. When grains are refined, the bran and germ are stripped away, taking with them most of the fiber, vitamins, and minerals. What's left is essentially a quickly digestible starch that acts very much like sugar in your body. When you eat refined carbs, they are rapidly broken down into glucose, leading to those same blood sugar spikes and crashes we just talked about. This puts stress on your system and contributes to insulin resistance over time, impacting your brain's ability to function optimally. Think about the difference between eating a slice of whole grain bread and a slice of white bread. The whole grain bread, with its fiber intact, is digested more slowly, providing a steady release of glucose into your bloodstream. This gives your brain a calm, consistent energy supply. The white bread, however, is quickly digested, causing that rapid surge and then a subsequent crash, which can leave you feeling tired and foggy-headed. Repeatedly exposing your brain to these dramatic fluctuations isn't good for it in the long run. It's like constantly flipping the power switch on and off. Eventually, something is going to wear out. Furthermore, diets high in refined carbohydrates have been linked in studies to a higher risk of cognitive impairment and even dementia. It's not just about weight gain. It's about the direct impact on your brain's delicate environment. So, how can you navigate this? The good news is there are delicious alternatives. Simple swaps can make a world of difference. Choose whole grain bread, pasta, and brown rice instead of their white counterparts. Look for products where the first ingredient is whole wheat, whole oats, or another whole grain. Experiment with ancient grains like quinoa, farro, or barley. They are packed with fiber and nutrients. When you're craving a snack, opt for whole grain crackers paired with cheese or hummus, or choose vegetables and fruit instead of refined carbohydrate-based snacks. Even making one switch, like choosing whole wheat bread for your sandwich today, is a positive step. These choices provide your brain with a more stable energy source, reduce inflammation, and give it the nutrients it needs to stay sharp. Making these changes doesn't mean you can never enjoy a pastry or a slice of white bread again, but becoming mindful of how often these foods appear in your diet and actively choosing whole grain options more frequently is a powerful way to protect your cognitive health as you age. Now that we've looked at how sugars and refined carbs can impact our brains, let's move on to another major dietary culprit that's often found in many of our favorite comfort foods. Moving on from the sweet and starchy culprits, let's talk about fats. Now, our brains actually need healthy fats to function. Things like omega-3s found in fatty fish are crucial for brain cell structure and communication. But there's a type of fat that is decidedly unhealthy for your brain, especially as you get older. And that's trans fats and excessive amounts of saturated fat. Trans fats, often listed as partially hydrogenated oils on ingredient lists, are created through an industrial process and are notoriously bad for your health, including your brain. While thankfully they've been largely removed from many products in some countries, they can still linger in some processed foods, fried items, and certain margarines. Trans fats promote inflammation throughout the body, including in the brain, and have been linked to a decline in memory and cognitive function. They can interfere with the normal structure and function of brain cell membranes, essentially making communication between brain cells less efficient. Think about those flaky pastries, fried donuts, or some pre-packaged cookies. These were classic places to find trans fats. While manufacturers have reformulated many products, it's still wise to check labels and avoid anything with partially hydrogenated oil. But it's not just trans fats. Excessive amounts of saturated fat, found in fatty cuts of meat, butter, cheese, and full-fat dairy, can also pose a risk to brain health, while saturated fat is okay in moderation. A diet consistently high in it can increase bad cholesterol levels and contribute to inflammation and hardening of the arteries, including those that supply blood to your brain. Restricted blood flow means your brain doesn't get the oxygen and nutrients it needs, which can impair cognitive function over time. It's like trying to run a complex machine on a limited power supply. So, what's the takeaway here? It's not about fearing all fats, but about choosing wisely. Limit foods known to be high in trans fats and be mindful of your saturated fat intake. Swap butter for olive oil or avocado oil when cooking. Choose leaner cuts of meat and consider plant-based protein sources more often. Incorporate healthy fats like avocados, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, sardines into your diet regularly. These healthy fats actively support brain health and combat the negative effects of inflammation. Just like building a strong house requires good materials, building and maintaining a healthy brain requires the right kinds of fats. Now, let's talk about foods that often combine some of the less desirable elements we've discussed, and that's processed and fried foods. These are staples for convenience and often taste great, but they can be a triple threat to your brain. Processed foods often contain a cocktail of unhealthy ingredients, refined carbohydrates, unhealthy fats including potential trans fats or high saturated fat, excessive sodium, and a variety of artificial additives and preservatives. These ingredients, individually or in combination, can promote inflammation, disrupt gut health, which is surprisingly linked to brain health, and overload your system with compounds that don't nourish your brain. Think about packaged snacks, instant noodles, sugary breakfast cereals, even some marketed as healthy, and pre-made meals. They're designed to be tasty and convenient, but they often lack the fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants that your brain thrives on. Fried foods add another layer of concern. When foods are fried, especially in unhealthy oils or reused oils, they can form compounds called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. High levels of AGEs in the body have been linked to inflammation and oxidative stress, both of which are detrimental to brain health and have been associated with cognitive decline. Think about deep-fried chicken, French fries, donuts, delicious sometimes, but best enjoyed very occasionally. Regularly consuming fried foods exposes your brain to this extra burden of inflammatory compounds. The convenience of processed foods is understandable, especially when you're busy, but making a conscious effort to reduce them and opt for whole, unprocessed foods more often can have a profound positive impact on your brain over time. Instead of a packaged snack, grab a piece of fruit or a handful of nuts. Cook meals from scratch more often, even simple ones. If you're craving something crispy, try baking or air frying instead of deep frying. These changes aren't about making life difficult. They're about making healthier choices that nurture your body and your brain. It's about prioritizing long-term well-being over short-term convenience. By reducing your intake of these processed and fried items, you're actively reducing the inflammatory load on your brain and giving it a better chance to stay sharp and healthy. Next, we'll explore another common ingredient that can sneak into your diet and quietly impact your cognitive function. Let's turn our attention now to something that adds flavor to almost everything, but which we often consume in excess without realizing the potential harm: sodium. While sodium is essential for various bodily functions, too much of it, particularly as we age, can have negative effects on your health, including your brain. The most direct link is through its impact on blood pressure. High sodium intake is a major contributor to high blood pressure, or hypertension. High blood pressure damages blood vessels throughout your body, including the delicate network of vessels that supply blood to your brain. Damaged blood vessels can restrict blood flow, increasing the risk of strokes and contributing to cognitive decline and vascular dementia. Think of those tiny, intricate pathways in your brain needing a smooth, consistent flow of vital oxygen and nutrients. High blood pressure puts immense strain on these pathways, like putting too much pressure through a delicate pipe system. But it's not just blood pressure. Some research also suggests that high sodium intake might directly affect cognitive function, potentially contributing to inflammation or other harmful processes in the brain, independent of blood pressure. And where is all this excess sodium coming from? It's rarely just from the salt shaker at your table. The vast majority of sodium in the average diet comes from processed and packaged foods. Think about canned soups, processed meats like deli turkey or ham, frozen dinners, packaged snacks like crisps and crackers, sauces, dressings, and even bread and cheese. These foods often contain surprisingly high levels of sodium as a preservative and flavor enhancer. Reducing your sodium intake doesn't mean your food has to be bland. It's about being more mindful of where the sodium is coming from. Cook more meals at home using fresh ingredients, where you control the amount of salt added. Read food labels and choose low sodium or no added salt versions of canned goods, broths, and packaged foods. Use herbs, spices, lemon juice, vinegar, and garlic to add flavor to your cooking instead of relying solely on salt. Gradually reducing sodium allows your taste buds to adjust, and you'll start to appreciate the natural flavors of food more. It's a simple change that can have significant protective benefits for your heart and your brain as you get older. Finally, let's talk about something that seems like a smart alternative to sugar, but which can also pose hidden risks: artificial sweeteners. These are often found in diet or sugar-free versions of drinks, snacks, and desserts. While they don't add calories and don't cause the same blood sugar spikes as regular sugar, their long-term effects on brain health are still being studied and are a cause for some concern, particularly the impact on the gut microbiome. Your gut and brain are intricately connected through something called the gut-brain axis. The balance of bacteria in your gut influences everything from your mood to cognitive function. Some studies suggest that artificial sweeteners can alter the composition of your gut bacteria in ways that might negatively impact this connection, potentially leading to inflammation or affecting neurotransmitter production. Furthermore, some research indicates that regular consumption of diet drinks containing artificial sweeteners might be associated with an increased risk of stroke and dementia. Independent of other factors, the exact mechanisms aren't fully understood, and research is ongoing. But the possibility that these artificial compounds could have subtle, long-term negative effects on brain function is something to consider. Your brain thrives on whole, natural foods, and introducing artificial chemicals, even if they seem harmless on the surface, might not be the best approach for long-term brain health. So, what's the alternative if you're trying to reduce sugar but are concerned about artificial sweeteners? Again, water is your best friend. Unsweetened tea or coffee in moderation are also good choices. If you need a touch of sweetness, consider small amounts of natural sweeteners like stevia or monk fruit. Or even better, use pureed fruit like dates or bananas in baking. The goal is to reduce your reliance on intensely sweet flavors, whether from sugar or artificial sources, and to retrain your palate to enjoy less sweet things. It's about choosing beverages and foods that nourish your body and brain, without introducing potentially disruptive artificial compounds. So, there you have it. 6 delicious things that might be quietly damaging your brain after 60 sugary drinks and added sugars. Refined carbohydrates, unhealthy fats like trans and excessive saturated fats, processed and fried foods, excessive sodium, and artificial sweeteners. It might feel a bit overwhelming to hear about these things, especially if they are part of your regular diet. But please, don't feel discouraged. The amazing thing about your brain is its plasticity, its ability to adapt and even heal to some extent, regardless of your age. Becoming aware of these potential culprits is the most powerful first step you can take. It's not about being perfect or eliminating these foods entirely overnight. It's about making conscious choices, one meal, one snack, one drink at a time, choosing a piece of fruit instead of a sugary biscuit, opting for whole grain bread, cooking at home more often, being mindful of hidden sodium, reaching for water instead of a diet soda. These small, Consistent changes can add up to make a tremendous difference in protecting your cognitive function, your memory, and your clarity as you move forward. Remember, your brain is a vital organ, and just like your heart or your muscles, it benefits from being treated well, nourishing it with whole, unprocessed foods, healthy fats, and limiting exposure to inflammatory ingredients like excess sugar, refined carbs, and unhealthy fats is one of the kindest things you can do for yourself. These are not sacrifices. They are investments in your future well-being and independence. You deserve to enjoy sharp thinking, clear memories, and the ability to fully engage with life for years to come. It's truly incredible what your brain is capable of when you give it the right support. Don't underestimate the power you have in your daily choices. I hope this has been helpful and opened your eyes to how some everyday foods can impact your brain. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are any of these foods things you eat often? Do you think you could make one small swap this week? Share your ideas or experiences in the comments below. Your insights could inspire someone else if you found this video valuable. Please give it a thumbs up. It really helps us know we're creating content you appreciate. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to our channel and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos packed with tips and information to help you live your best life at every age. Taking care of your brain is an essential part of living a vibrant, fulfilling life, no matter how many candles are on your birthday cake. Thank you for watching, and remember, you have the power to make positive changes for your health and happiness today. Live your best life at every age.